Hello, I'm Dumsky, and we are right here at ETHPrague with Mario Havel from Bordel. Welcome, Mario. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. I'm tired. I mean, it's the last day of the hackathon, so after like nights of hacking and partying and not much sleeping, it's chill.
Did you hack something?
I helped to hack with multiple teams. I've been mentoring around the hackathon, so a bit of a hacking. And so I'm from Bordel. I've been running Bordel here, which is like a place where hackers go to get some tools, software or hardware tools, or some refreshments, or some time for party. And I've been keeping open the like 4:20 a.m. So like also managing some party, right?
All right. That has to be done at every conference. So, for starters, there has been some updates in Ethereum right now. There were also some updates from Bordel. So, can you tell us how did the Ropsten merge?
Oh, right, the Ropsten Merge. Yeah, it was when we put the Bordel on the map, like 3 days ago or something. No, like 4 days ago. It was fun. It was great. Yeah, basically, for the past even half a year, there was extensive testing of the merge of the consensus and execution client merging together via Engine API, which is and this setup is being heavily tested on multiple testnets, which have been spin up as a public testing ground and as well shadow forks. And now we finally deployed this merge on Ropsten, which was long running testnet of proof of work testnet. So we could really battle test the merge, and the results are positive. So people feel excited about it, but there is still like a lot of work to be done before mainnet, of course, and testing, right?
All right.
Testing the merge.
So, can you tell us a little bit, like briefly, what has to be done actually in the last or in the next couple months or days to actually successfully test the merge, or not test the merge,
Right.
but merge the Ethereum?
So there are various testing efforts, and there is a checklist on Ethereum PM repository. People can actually see how the governance or the core devs meetings are happening, and there is a checklist of what needs to be done before the merge. So also there is a doc we put together with Tim and Trend where there is the merge resources, and there is also a link to this, and there is overview of the testing efforts, and those testing efforts which need to pass is Hive, which is a tooling. It's a harness for testing Ethereum, which should integrate all the client combinations, deploy basically how many images you want, and test them in various scenarios together. And in this, we want to make sure that the vast majority of the tests which are supposed to pass will always pass under any circumstance. Then there will be more shadow forking and in past. So the shadow fork means that we take some part of the mainnet and these nodes will go through the merge. Basically, shadow fork it in a way that we test the merge on the merge is tested on the mainnet data. And in the first 2 or 3, there were some issues, and they were discovered. And in the last shadow forks, it was pretty smooth. So we're getting there, but there are some testing integrations which needs to be done. And the thing is, so it's like 5 execution clients, 5 consensus clients, and it just takes a while. It's a lot of combinations, right? And everything needs to go smooth. So, yeah.
How many developers are actually working on the merge?
Hard to say, because as I say, there is maybe 10 client teams and researchers around it. There is the E2 research within EF EF. There is Quill. There is various organizations participating somehow, and they have different teams. In October on Amphora, which is the meeting where the merge actually happened the first time on the first DevNet when it was implemented. During this week in October, there was 40 people in Amsterdam on the protocol workshop. There was 70, 80 people. So I would say up to 100 are more deeply involved, and Yeah, that. On the all-core devs, you normally have even up to 50 people, I would say. Normally less people talk, but like there is in the call, you can notice it also on the all-core dev Discord. You see people from various teams there and research institutions. Yeah.
All right. I would actually like to battle one thing that actually is misconception about the proof of stake and proof of work transition, basically. So people think that transitioning to proof of stake will actually reduce the fees, but is that correct?
So the merge is not a scaling thing. The scaling happens elsewhere. Like this is the scaling is what would allow us to put more transactions through Ethereum, and the merge switches one part of Ethereum, the consensus layer, but it's not affecting the data throughput or like. Actually, like a few minutes ago, I came from here at ETHPrague. I came from a talk by Dankshard about danksharding, which is the next step. So, like, the proof of stake opens these possibilities to scale properly, right? It doesn't scale per se. There is a slight increase in scaling via block time. There will be now the Ethereum is aiming for more than 13 seconds. On average block time, but with proof of stake there should be if the stations are missing, right, there should be 12-second blocks, because now it's not random, right? It's given by the protocol, so it's 12 seconds, and there is like some percentage increase then, like you have more blocks basically.
All right. I would actually like to battle one more misconception that people have, and that is that you could hear an argument on, for example, Ethereum decentralization, because when we think of it, well, for example, when there would be like, let's say, 4 big or 5 big players in the game who own a lot of ETH, then how can we actually receive through the decentralization?
So, like, generally, I mean, yeah, the LSD is dangerous. The liquid staking derivatives, for example. LSD, right? Then Iran has an article about that, and I was just risks of LSD that just perfect. Like I always joke, there are also Bitcoin or whatnot. You have these various acronyms like UTXO, LND, BTC, whatnot, LSP, and LSD just fits in there. You don't know what is drug, what is the protocol, right? And here it merges in the liquid staking derivatives, which is like Lido and stuff, right? So many people are using, either Lido, which is maybe even better example than like just putting it on a Coinbase, which is just a company somehow without the contracts.
Yeah.
And so there is this centralization tendency for sure, but I would say that it's So, like, the proof of stake decentralization is easier to achieve for me, I would say, in the sense that, so compared to proof of work, if we do the comparisons, the miners are mostly not people from community. They are just people running the cards and mining and getting rid of the ether. Many of them don't know even how to use the wallet, and they ask me, hey, how do I dump that ether? Right?
Wow.
And on the opposite side, the stakers are people from the community who want to, the same people who run nodes, right? And that's what you need. You need just to run the node. So like like the mining. So I did mining. I became miner for a week there when we were doing the Ropsten Merge, and I deployed my own pool and I ran a bunch of rigs. And I mined the TTD there, but it was not easy, and it was just so many expertise, so much bullshit just to do the mining. And this is just like bureaucracy. It's something which you don't need, and it takes the easy input for people. Like they cannot easily validate it or chain, and now they just have a server at home, like Raspberry or anything, right? And so I see here like more the community and digitalization tendency happening on this side. Also, like from a censorship resistance perspective, like it's much easier like to shut down a container which is mining something. There was the story from Malaysia how they have the bulldozer or like the steamroller was destroying the rigs and like it's crazy stuff. And this can't happen. And when I have validator, I run a validator, I shut it down, and in a few seconds it's running on a different server in different country, and I just transfer it, right? So I don't need to be worried that it gets shut down at the spot here. So yeah, like it takes the community, the education to fight these tendencies. But I believe that, like, compared to gateholders of ASICs, to mining pools and so on, it's currently, looking at the numbers, we have more decentralization than we have with the proof of work. So it's going good way, but we see the trends there, and yeah. And I'm pretty bullish on, like, the decentralized staking approaches, like rocket pool kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Well, I would say it's definitely pretty important to motivate people to run their validator somewhere at home and help decentralize the network. This is pretty key for the ecosystem to grow. You have been in the ecosystem, let's say, even in the ecosystem before, like, let's say, for a couple of years now in the crypto in general. So I would like to ask...
I ain't no OG. I'm not OG, right?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say, like, super OG, but, like...
For a few years.
For a few years. So how did the ecosystem evolve? Like, how did it change from before and comparing to now?
So the ecosystem, or like the community, I see it coming in waves. Like, always with the waves of price going, or like always when the price goes up, the new wave adoption happens. And I came like in 2016, before the wave 17, right?
Yeah.
And I ride that wave, and now there was another one during the COVID, which was a different one than those before, in the sense that now a lot of focus is on online content. People are not meeting physically. Before, the price of so in Paralelní Polis here, we organized meetups like every week or every other week, and the people at the Bitcoin Ethereum meetup, the number of people correlate with the price, right? And now during the COVID, there are no meetups. People don't learn from each other directly, but they talk online, but they watch the online content, and a lot of attention goes to these influencers, and like, with each of the new wave, the old communities fading away. But the old communities, actually, those core values, right? The cypherpunks who brought the ecosystem to life, and also, like, I don't know, I was talking here, like, people who are coming to crypto in past, even like 2-3 years, they have no idea about Andreas Antonopoulos, they have no idea about, I don't know, Amir Taki, and people like, who've been, like, that talking about Bitcoin, but also in Ethereum, it's like, well, there is Vitalik, whatnot, but, like, people are not really aware of the real builders, just some, just people who crunched the data.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, wrapping up with last question here. When you actually would like to, let's say, have a validator and set it up at your home, can you recommend to people some, like, easy, where they can find information about this? Like, how can they do it?
So my favorite, to show my colleagues, right? My favorite source would be Ethereum.org.
Okay.
Which really has a good documentation and nice overview. That for deploying your own validator, it's a launchpad.ethereum.org, and there are some tools which won't require or don't require any command line and so on, which is like DepNode, Avado, or Steerium. For Raspberry, there is Ethereum or ARM, which is like pre-configured stuff you just put there and it runs. There is also another one which is being developed with also a UI. And basically the thing is that you need to run multiple, to validate, you need 3 pieces of software, which is the execution client, the consensus client, and the validator. And it's not trivial to do it by yourself in configs, right? Okay. And you don't need to do that because it comes pre-configured. So, So it's better to use like these DepNode kind of things, rather than try to do it by yourself. But if you are good in command line, if you can use just terminal, go for it and do it manually. It's also pretty easy. You just pass the config, right? So I would recommend generally running a minority client. What does it mean? So there is, as I said, many implementations of both execution and consensus, and what we try to achieve is a diversity between them. So each of them has like 20-25% share in the network. Because it means that if there is a critical bug in this client, not the whole network will go down. Just like this single implementation. So it gives us more decentralization, more robustness. And currently there is one client which is maybe 50% of the network on the consensus layer. On the execution, GET is taking up to 70-80% of the network. So by running a different client, you are kind of more secure and you help this diversity in the network. So for consensus, there is the most used one is Prism, then Lighthouse, then there is Nimbus, Deku, and Lodestar. And on execution, there is the GET as the biggest one, and then there's Aragon. Aragon is also in Go, and the thing is that having different implementations in different languages enables you just deeper diversity in a sense that when there is some issue in the language library on the lower level, you have issues in both GET and Aragon. It's the same language, they use the same libraries, right? But using even different language, it's more safer way. So for consensus, there is the Aragon, but there is also Nethermind in .NET and Besu in Java. So feel free to run those. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was amazing, Mario. Thank you for your recommendations, your time for this short interview, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, check out Paralelní Polis, visit Bordel, and see you somewhere sometimes.
Bye bye.
Thank you.